Hi folks, welcome to Coffee and Colossians on Tuesday. And we're continuing to look through these names. Forgive me for eating a Malteser. But we're now looking at the verse 10 and just one name, my fellow prisoner Aristarchus. Now, who is Aristarchus? I think what's fascinating in this is we know that he was, literally, he is my fellow prisoner of war. We know he was from Thessalonica in Greece. He was in Ephesus with Paul and was almost seized by the rioters who were there. He travelled with Paul on his last journey to Rome. So let's just look at some of the verses in Acts. You know, and these names we just kind of skim over when we read. But I do think it's important. So in Acts 19 and at verse 29, when there's the riot in Ephesus, we read, soon the whole city was in an uproar. The people seized Gaius and Aristarchus, Paul's travelling companions from Macedonia, and all of them were rushed into the theatre together. So he was put into the theatre in kind of Colosseum in Ephesus with Paul. And then in Acts 20 and verse 4, where Paul goes through Macedonia, it says he was accompanied by Sopater, son of Pyrrhus from Berea, Aristarchus and Secundus from Thessalonica, Gaius and Derbe, Timothy also, and Tychicus and Trophimus from the province of Asia. And then in Acts 27 and verse 2, we read this. Paul heads a ship, and we boarded a ship from Adramyttium, about to sail for ports along the coast of the province of Asia. We put out to sea. Aristarchus, a Macedonian from Thessalonica, was with us. So, remember, Paul is writing this letter from Rome, together with the one Philemon, together, I think, with a letter to the Romans, perhaps. We're not sure about that. But he's certainly writing this. And Aristarchus is with him. Aristarchus has been with him in Ephesus. Aristarchus has been with him on the ship, the ship that sunk. Aristarchus is now with him in Rome, and he's described as a fellow prisoner. It's possible that he was a voluntary prisoner. Paul was under house arrest, and it's possible, indeed probable, that Aristarchus said, I will give up my freedom and come and be with you. And you know, when you think about that, there's something just profoundly beautiful and profoundly wonderful in that. So this is not a Christian church, which is a social club. This is not a Christian church where people gather for a lecture. This is, how will I put it, in the words, you know, that great TV series, the HBO TV series, A Band of Brothers. This is exactly what it is. This is people who suffer together. This is having someone who is so supportive of you that he'll go to prison with you for the sake of the gospel and because he loves you. What a comfort he must have been. My fellow prisoner, Aristarchus, send you his greetings. Well, he obviously knew the people in Colossae, and they obviously knew him. He had visited them with Paul, almost certainly, maybe at other times too. But I think the reflection for us is in our churches sometimes how shallow our fellowship is. Is there anyone you'd take a bullet for? Is there anyone you'd go to jail for? How shallow so much of what we call fellowship is. We really need this kind of New Testament Christianity where there's a depth and an intensity. And I think, by the way, you get that from fighting together. So Band of Brothers, for example, you see that. And I know myself that the people through whom I've been through the toughest battles with do tend to be your strongest friends. Although I also know this, that there are people who at the first hint of battle turn away. We forget we're in that kind of battle. Well, anyway, may each of us either be an Aristarchus or have friends who are like Aristarchus. See you tomorrow. Bye.